to Adventure Unfiltered. If you had said a few years ago I'd be sitting on the Cullen shoreline on the Moray Coast, fresh from a sea swim, wrapped in a big fluffy towel, laughing with one of my closest friends, and about to launch my own podcast, I'm not sure I would have believed you. Adventure Unfiltered was born from a desire to explore the stories behind the scenery, the real, unedited, sometimes messy but always meaningful experiences that shape us. Recording this episode with Iona, it reminded me of just how layered our adventures have become. There were years when summits, sunsets and Munros defined Iona's days, years when adventure meant distance, elevation and pushing limits. And then life shifted, as it does. Motherhood arrived, priorities reshaped, community deepened, ambition changed direction. And eventually the big adventures were replaced with slower, smaller, more intentional ones. The kind that fit around nap times, nursery runs and beautiful family rhythms. Listening to her talk about this transition, honestly, vulnerably and unapologetically, I did realise something. Her story represents something so many of us feel but rarely articulate, that adventure evolves just as we do. So let's go, Iona Andean with Adventure Reimagined. Iona Andean, Iona
Yes.
Adventuring. If you could choose between swimming in the ocean or swimming in a loch, which would you choose?
Okay, I'm going to say swimming in the sea because it's always guaranteed. Swimming in a loch, sometimes sludgy, muddy, blue-green algae. Yeah, I'm going to go with the sea.
If you could choose between the sea or a loch swim with a sauna, which would you choose?
I'm going to go with the sauna because you've got that extra element, so an extra sense of adventure because you've got the sauna and the loch. So
Yes.
you're getting your swim, but you're getting a heat up, you can go back and forth. Yeah.
I do feel like we've levelled up when it comes to swimming as well, because whenever we get together we're like, oh, there's a sauna popped up there, let's go and try.
Do you not think that's a bit bougie? We're like, we'll go for a swim, but we'll also heat up as well.
I mean, yeah.
I'm here for it.
Okay, good. Because we are right now in Cullen, in the Moray Coast, and we have just been for a sea swim and a sauna.
We have, and it was amazing. And this is our halfway point between me in Aberdeenshire and you in Highlands.
Yep.
So this is perfect. This sauna just appeared last year and it's great. It's the perfect place for us to meet up.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And I just learned last month that this is in fact the east coast, not the north of Scotland.
Yeah.
Because
Talk me through this.
well, I always thought, like Inverness and like the Moray Coast is the north of Scotland. But actually, if you look at the map of Scotland, it's on the east coast.
I mean, I would say the Moray Coast is well and truly on the east coast of Scotland, but you've got me there with Inverness because I would say Inverness is in the north, but I guess, yeah,
Look at the map.
It's on the coast, isn't it?
Because it's the Moray Firth, isn't it? So, like the north, so never eat shredded wheat. That's just...
Do you know what? This podcast, if nothing else, is going to be very informative from a geographical perspective. Get that on a soundbite.
This is how the podcast is going to go.
I was just going to say, this is setting the tone for how this is going to go.
Yes, I think so. So Iona, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. Starting this podcast, Adventure Unfiltered, there was absolutely nobody else I could imagine having as my very first guest. So welcome to the podcast and welcome to the very, very first episode.
I am so honoured. Thanks so much, Lorna. We go way back and yeah, this is really fun.
So Iona, I think that you and I do a lot of adventuring together, and I think a lot of people that are listening to this will know who you are, but there will be some people who don't. So who are you, Iona?
That's quite a hype. I don't think everybody will know who I am.
I think you will.
Well, we'll see. Who am I? How on earth do you sum that up? I am a mum. That's probably my most important role just now, I would say. I'm a mum, I am an everyday adventurer, I am an entrepreneur. I've got my own little business. I Gosh, I don't know. How else do I sum myself up? I'd say I'm an advocate for, everyday adventures and looking for the positive moments, little glimmers in life when life isn't always plain sailing and smooth. So yeah, I just like to find a little bit of happiness, and I think I like to show that as well.
I love it, absolutely love it, and you absolutely do bring happiness. And I know we talk about this often, but see, when we get together to adventure or hike or swim, we both just come away feeling absolutely buzzing, and you have this wonderful energy about you. And it's just, I don't know, it feels like a little holiday for the soul when I'm with you.
Oh, I like that, holiday for the soul.
I just feel full of energy, which is amazing. But of course, life looks very different for us both, actually, since we first met. And this episode is called Adventure Reimagined. Before we come on to what adventure looks like for you now, I think we need to go way back to kind of when it all began, certainly for, you know, our friendship, but even before that as well. And obviously, Iona Adventures community, you took a long time to kind of build that community, and it absolutely exploded, which was just incredible. Everything that you do, I feel the thread there is community and connection. You are like an absolute powerhouse when it comes to community and connection. And I want to know where that came from.
So for anybody who doesn't know, I'm on Instagram as iona.adventuring, and I set that up when I was living in the Highlands. I was at uni studying to be a nurse, and so I just set up this Instagram page, and I remember saying to my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, that it was going to be a faceless account. I just wanted to share like adventures, but not actually who I was. That very quickly changed. And I remember I was living in Aviemore, and I was like exploring new places to go so that I could discover the area, and found hiking through a friend. She took me up my first Munro, and then I wanted to keep doing that even when we moved to Edinburgh for my job as a nurse. And I didn't know anybody in the area, so I was going out doing walks and hikes myself, and decided to set up a Facebook group so that I could meet other people to go hiking with. And there was another element to it as well, because I really wanted to train to be a mountain leader. So for the quality mountain days that you had to log, you had to have like a certain number of days on your own, certain number of days with other people, and I didn't know other people to go hiking with in the area. So that's where the Facebook group was going to come in handy, because I thought, well, I can use those group walks to put towards my quality mountain days. And so I set up the Facebook group and started posting saying, I'm going on this hike at this time on this day, anybody want to come with me? And people did. People started coming, and it was mostly people who were like solo adventurers like me, who wanted to meet like-minded people. So it was very kind of organic, unexpected, didn't really have an agenda with it other than to train to be a mountain leader. And then, I just made lifelong friends within those first couple of years of running the group, which was not my intention at all. I didn't set out to meet people that I would see forevermore, but that's just what's happened. And I mean, you're one of my best friends now, and we meet up really regularly. Going back to your original question about community and connection, it wasn't what I'd set out to do, it just happened sort of authentically. And I mean, the Facebook group's still running now, but it's not active. But there's over 4,500 people on there who did join since I first set it up in 2018.
Yeah.
And it just had this momentum.
It just exploded, didn't it?
It just kept on growing. I don't know where like my momentum came from with it. I think because I was meeting people and realising that there was this whole other way that I could make friends and fit in. Maybe that was a big part of it. I guess growing up, I didn't really feel like I fitted in much. I didn't feel excluded as such. I just felt really, really self-conscious, and I was really painfully shy, and I really struggled to like have my voice heard. So then running this Facebook group that became this community, and I suppose almost having people looking towards me, not necessarily for like guidance and stuff, because I wasn't a mountain leader, I was just facilitating the walks, but I suppose having people looking at me to be the person to facilitate it gave me like a sense of purpose, and that felt really fulfilling for me, and that gave me the drive to keep going with it. And then because it became like this bigger community, I just loved it. I suppose a part of me now misses it, but I've found community in other ways since then because, you know, life has changed and things have moved on since then.
There was this big gap in adventuring in Scotland where there was people our age that didn't have that platform, that community. And yeah, there was like loads of people on Instagram that we kind of followed, and you know, I would look at Instagram and be like, oh wow, look at all these walks. And at the time I was kind of getting back into adventuring and getting back into hiking, but there was nobody really that I could go with. And there was kind of the traditional kind of like rambling groups or hiking groups that were really established, and there wasn't really anything there that suited me. I don't know if I stumbled across it, I don't know if what I did, but I found your group and I was like, yes, this is what I'm looking for. And I think it was the same for everyone. It was that like-minded people who wanted to go out and hike, but they didn't really have anybody to go out with. And it just seemed to be at the right time for like thousands of people, Iona. And I know that a lot of the groups, obviously, that, you know, we don't have group hikes and things anymore, but that community is responsible for a lot of other communities and a lot of other friendships. So I know so many people that I could, you know, list off that have found their tribe as a result of what you have created. Do you remember our first micro adventure that we went on? And I think it was you that had suggested it. And we went camping in the Pentland Hills because, of course, at that time I lived in Mid Calder and you lived in Edinburgh. And you said, you don't fancy going on a micro adventure, do you? And I was like, hell's yeah. I was so excited about this. And oh, what a hoot. That is the time when I brought my John Lewis pillow with me because I like a good pillow, and it used up all of my rucksack, so I had to try and squeeze everything in.
Yeah. And bearing in mind all of this had to fit in my teeny tiny 2-man tent, and I remember lying in that tent like nose to nose with you, like chatting for hours at night.
Yeah.
And
what a brilliant night that was, wasn't it? Remember the sunset?
Yeah, and the sunrise. We got up in the morning and the tent was frozen. All the Pentland Hills around us were frozen, and we just watched the sun coming up over the hill. And yeah, it was so beautiful. I can just picture that so clearly in my mind just now.
That kind of leveled up our adventuring a little as well, because when you found something that you love to do anyway, and you just feel a little bit more confident and you feel a wee bit more sure of your direction as well when it comes to adventuring. And I love that. And I remember going to work the next morning and I was like, did that just happen? Was that an actual thing? Did I just dream that?
I think that set the trend for our friendship as well. We were speaking about this earlier today before we started recording, that one of us just needs to plant the seed, an idea of an adventure, and the other one just runs with it. And that's what we have been like since we met back in 2018.
I know that throughout all of this series, all of my guests talk about connection and community, and it is the thread that links every single episode within this podcast because it keeps coming up again and again. But I think it's like if you're on a hike with somebody, you're connecting with them, which allows you to maybe open up and be a little bit more vulnerable in front of them. And when you've got that friendship and, you know, making that connection, then it just feels wonderful, doesn't it? And although we talked there about having that micro adventure down in the Pentlands, now obviously you live on the northeast coast and I'm based in the Cairngorms now. So actually Cullen, like we talked about, is our halfway point. And even although it's about an hour or an hour and a half for us to meet here, we always make the effort to come here, don't we?
It's quite intentional.
And we're connected with this place now, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Last year we hiked the Moray Coast, and we started that from Cullen. We did the Moray Coast Trail in reverse. It was something that happened again very organically. Last year we were meeting up for a camp. I can't remember what campsite we stayed at. Was it Sandend?
Yeah.
Near here, and you had said, you know, I'll look for somewhere that we can go for a walk as well. And it just so happened to be this first stretch of the Moray Coast Trail. And we camped at the campsite, or stayed at the campsite, and then we did this stretch of the trail. And it must have been while we were walking that day that we were like, this is so beautiful. Like, how far is the trail? And then we looked it up, and then we must have decided that day, let's do the trail, but do it in sections, and obviously in reverse, because normally you would end at Cullen, but we were starting here. And it just happened so naturally and authentically that we decided to do the Moray Coast Trail, but we broke it down into sections because you have a non-working day in the middle of the week, and I at the time had a really little one, and I was pregnant with a second, and so we decided we would break it down into sections and meet every 3 or 4 weeks or so and walk the Moray Coast Trail. And that was such an amazing adventure,
wasn't it?
Because I mean, you and I, we both follow people who do like the bigger trails like the West Highland Way, and you've got the Cape Wrath and things like that, and that wasn't something that was on either of our agendas at the time. And I think as well, we just wanted to be able to do it at our own pace. I was obviously pregnant, but I was capable, you know, and we just wanted to be able to walk and talk and take our time and take it all in and stop for snacks and stop to take photos. And actually now we've completed, you know, last summer we completed the Moray Coast Trail, but we did it our own way. We did it in those sections, and I think that's quite important to show people, is you can have those goals, but you can do it in a way that works for you, because sometimes it can be a bit disheartening when you're seeing other people doing big trails or big goals or big hikes or whatever it is, and you want to do the same, but you maybe don't have the time, or you don't have the finances, or you don't have the kit, whatever it is. But there are other ways of doing those things. You just have to break it down and do it in your own way. And as we were doing the trail, that's kind of what we were speaking about. We were speaking about how important that is, and how nice it was for us to be able to do that together, but in our own time and in our own way. And I'm so glad that we did, because now we come back to Cullen, we go for a swim or we go for a walk, and we keep coming back to this place where we started that trail, and that just feels really special. And we've got all those memories, and that was when I was pregnant with my second child, and now she's old enough for me to leave her with my husband for the day while I come and meet you, and it's time for me to do something for myself. I love my kids to bits and they're my entire world, but I do need that time for myself. And you know, it's just that chance to not carry that mental load for a few hours, and I think that is so important for both of us, and you know, anybody else listening, that whether you're a parent or not, everybody's got like responsibilities and commitments and things, and you need to be able to step away from that for even a short while and just take some time for you.
How did you feel about making that switch from Adventure Queen, which you very much still are now, to Adventure Queen / mum?
Before lockdown, I felt like every spare moment I was striving for another mountain, another summit, another sunset. I was just obsessed. And I actually remember at one point it really hit me how much time I wasn't spending at home with my partner. And we both worked shifts, so sometimes we'd be like ships passing in the night anyway. And sometimes that was good, because if he was working and I was off, I could go off and do an adventure knowing that it didn't impact the time that I should have been spending with him. But I remember spending all my spare time doing that, and it wasn't with him. And then lockdown obviously turned that all on its head. That had a massive impact on the walking group, because those events just stopped completely. Yeah. So I think that was a real turning point for me, lockdown. I didn't really get back into the swing of it again. So that was obviously 2020. My first baby was born in 2022. So things had changed before I had him, but now that I've got the two kids especially, you know, it's even more logistics and planning and being organised, and I just really like going at their pace. I just love the slow days and the not having the pressure to get out the door. Yeah, it's a lot, and I just feel like I just don't want that added pressure. I don't want that added stress, and if I can just go at their pace and everybody feels content and happy, and we've all just had a nice time and discovered something new on our doorstep, I really love that.
Yeah,
I do.
I love that. Yeah. I don't know about you, but when I had Jessica, I felt like my eyes were open. And when I say that, I felt like life looked so much different, because it wasn't just me anymore. It was me and my tiny little family. It made me look at life differently, and it made me reframe and think about things an awful lot differently. And I know for you, Iona, before you had your kids, you obviously worked in nursing, and after you had your kids, you kind of started reframing about what you wanted in life and kind of what career path you might want to follow. Do you want to talk me through that?
So I think the biggest element of that is the fact that I couldn't imagine not being the person that spent every second of the day with my kids. I know everybody has very, very different opinions on that, but when my little boy was 1, which is the age that most people are kind of returning to work, I just could not imagine, I couldn't imagine the level of responsibility of looking after my little boy and then going to work and looking after so many other people as a nurse. But it's also important to say that when I was 7.5 months pregnant with him, we moved back to Aberdeenshire, which is where I'm from, and we had been in Edinburgh before that, so I didn't actually have my job to go back to after my 12 months maternity leave. So that felt really, really daunting to me, to find a new job. I'm probably the kind of person who, when I feel scared about something or intimidated about something, I just let it overwhelm me and I just bury my head in the sand. And if I'm being totally honest, that's what I did. And so we just made it work. We cut our costs and decided I would be able to stay at home with my little boy, and that's just what we did. When we were having our second baby, it wasn't an option to be a stay-at-home mum without any income. And this year I had the opportunity to start up my own travel business, and it was something that really just sparked my interest straight away.
I remember, yeah.
I felt so curious. When this opportunity came along and I found out about it and I educated myself about it, I was just like, this is it. This feels like a no-brainer for me. I said yes, I jumped in, and I haven't looked back. So that was earlier this year, and I just love the flexibility it gives me. I really, really enjoy what I'm doing. I really love being able to help other people go on adventures and make memories, because I book travel for other people, but I also have the opportunity to help other people start their own travel business as well, which I think is incredible. And it wasn't something that I had planned or had researched. It just came my way. I found out about it and kind of jumped in with both feet, if I'm honest, which is not something that maybe I do jump on opportunities. I don't know.
I think you do.
How many people have a dream or have something that they want to be able to prioritise, and they either don't have the guts to do it or don't have the know-how? I don't want to look back on these early years and think, I wish I'd done something that I could have worked flexibly around them. I just don't want that. And it allows me to tie in my love of travel and adventure. It's just so perfect. I just can't believe how much it's worked out for me, and I'm so, so grateful that this opportunity came my way. And it means that I have these years with the kids before they go to school. I've spent too long, especially as a teenager, I just didn't know how to have my voice heard. I didn't have that confidence. I just was not able to advocate for myself, or I didn't even know what I wanted. I just wasn't the person that I am now. And now I feel like, especially when it comes to my kids, I know what I want, I know what they need, and I just want to be able to connect with my kids on so many different levels, in so many different ways. And to be able to do that now just feels so important to me. And I feel really, really grateful.
I feel like your Instagram has been like a beautiful story of your life, reimagined and evolving from what you were talking about earlier, mountains every weekend or any time you could possibly get it, moving towards kind of family life and what that's looked like. And now obviously it's evolving towards you building your business and focusing on that. I know from chats with you that not everybody has appreciated that. And some people have even come forward to tell you that they just don't like your content anymore because it's not what it used to be, why not bolster someone up? Why do you have to tell somebody, their photo's rubbish? It's like, share their photo, listen to the podcast. If somebody is starting something new, take joy in that for them. Why not support them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know which comment you're speaking about, and that is just one person that's reached out to me to say that they didn't like the direction that I was going in. And you know what, I started sending quite a defensive message, kind of backing myself up, and in the end I deleted the whole lot. And I said that to her. I said, I'm not going to sit here and defend my choices and my decisions, and I'm sorry that you feel that way, but this is something that I'm doing for myself and for my family, and that feels really important. And she had pointed out how long she had followed me for, and that she was choosing not to follow me anymore because she didn't like the direction I was going in. And I just simply said, if you followed me for that long, then I would like to think that you have seen a genuine and authentic person here on this app, and it therefore won't come as a surprise to you that it's upset me. I'd literally read her message while I was doing a night feed with my baby, and I burst out crying because I just felt like all my life I have doubted myself, and so for somebody else to come out and voice my inner feelings just felt really, really hurtful. And I thought, no, I'm going to let this person know that she's hurt me, because she needs to be aware of the impact that her words are having. And that's what I said to her. I said, you have upset me, and I really hope that you'll think before you choose to say something like that to somebody else in the future, because that it's really unkind. And of course she came back to me very apologetic. She said that she wished she could take back what she'd said, and I said, well, you can't, but hopefully it'll make you think in the future. And that is kind of my ethos in life, is just to be kind and for other people to feel loved, to feel included. And now when I think about it with the community, like with the walking group, I just wanted people to come along if they wanted to be part of it, and to not worry about where they came from, what their background was, because everybody is welcome and everybody should feel welcome, and everybody has a place in this world, and everybody is loved. And I just think that's so important. And yeah, I just don't like it. I just don't want to be part of it, and I don't want to stand back and let somebody make other people feel that way. And I just feel really passionate about that.
A tagline that goes along with you is sunshiny happiness. I think that you just radiate sunshine. And then, of course, you have your own podcast as well. Do you want to tell us a wee bit about your podcast?
Last year, I set up my podcast, Nurture with Nature, because I feel like being outdoors, being immersed in nature, whether it's a walk, a hike, a swim, a pram walk, whatever it's been, anytime I am outside, I just feel so safe and so grounded and just so happy. I've never regretted going outside. Doesn't matter what the weather is or who I'm with or whether I'm on my own. I just feel like being outside is such a fundamentally important part of my life. And through the walking group and through, over the years meeting other people who have a love of being outside, I just felt like that was something really important that I wanted to speak to people about and share other people's stories of how being outside has been important for their physical and their mental health. And obviously a big element of that is, what I've seen through nursing, because through nursing I've always been trained to focus on the physical health, but I have such an interest and a passion for the mental health side of things, and that's where my podcast came in. And I loved interviewing people to speak to them about those experiences. It's something that I'm going to pick up again, and somewhere along the line I have found this drive for creating my own path and following my own dreams. And now with my travel business, I am setting up these things for myself, for my family, and it's taken me years to get to a point where I feel able to and have the courage to do these things and put myself out there. And I feel so proud of what I've done and what I've achieved and who I've become and who I'm still yet to be. Like, there's so much more to come, and I just feel like, I can't even remember what your original question was. It was about the podcast, but
I don't know, but I'm sitting here like, it's like that. Oh, that is wonderful. And I think I think that really sums up everything that we've spoken about as well today. But before we finish, Iona, our strapline at Adventure Unfiltered is "In the wild, we remember who we are." And I want to ask what that means for you.
I don't know. I just think when I'm outdoors, I just feel content and I feel confident as well. Yeah, that's one of the places I feel the most confident, and it's not necessarily scaling a mountain and standing at the summit. It's just I feel like myself, and I'm not hiding anything. I'm not trying to be anybody else. I just feel happy, and I think that is something that everybody deserves and everybody should experience. And that's where I feel my happiest, is when I'm outside, especially if I'm with my kids. That's just seeing the world through their eyes, seeing the natural world through their eyes is so, so special and so amazing. And yeah, I just feel happy when I'm outside.
Oh, I love that. I think that's wonderful. I think that's so nice.
Oh,
Iona, it's been so amazing to have you on as my very first guest. I'm so excited about this podcast. So thank you for sharing what adventure means to you and what Adventure Reimagined looks like for you as well. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
I've loved it. And Lorna, I am so proud of you. I just think you are incredible. You are following your dreams. You're creating that path for yourself, and what you're doing is amazing. You are going to have such a positive impact on so many people. I couldn't be prouder.
Oh my God, stop! Chatting with Iona was such a joy. She has this incredible way of making every conversation feel calm, thoughtful and full of heart. Her love for community and everyday adventure is infectious, and I'm so grateful she kicked off season 1 with me. Thank you so much for listening to Adventure Unfiltered. I hope today's conversation gave you something to carry into your own life, a spark of courage, a moment of calm, or just a reminder that adventure shows up in so many forms, big and small. So if this episode spoke to you, it would mean the absolute world to me if you followed the podcast, shared it with someone who'd love it, or left a review. It really helps this story reach the people who need it the most. You'll find photos, behind the scene clips, and ways to connect with all of our guests over on all our social channels, and these are all listed in the show notes. So until next time, get outside, breathe deeply, and don't forget, in the wild, we remember who we are.